Okay, whenever you are ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Alex, Daniel, we're back.
We're back.
Somehow we're still here.
Hey, how are you guys?
I am stuck in my basement.
Making the most of my time.
Yeah?
NHL 20 and 2K20.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
How are you liking Shell now, Daniel, since you've had a few days to play it?
Oh, different. I think I told you last time I bought NHL was 7 years ago. So the change is real.
Adam, why don't you tell everyone what we're doing today? So we can just get this thing started.
So the last episode of the podcast was, of course, the first episode of Bizarre Adventures. Not hockey stuff. We talked about Star Wars. But today we're going to start the retro review where we look at some retro teams, maybe some Blackhawks, maybe some Kings back in the day. But today is a very special edition of, the premiere episode of Retro Review. We are going to be watching and talking about, reviewing, the 2013 Game 7 Maple Leafs collapse against the Boston Bruins. This clip is 46 minutes long. It is the third period where the Leafs start up 2-1, and of course, the eventual overtime when the Bruins come back and win, led by Patrice Bergeron.
You know what the worst part about this is?
What?
It was my idea to watch this.
It was.
I don't know. I'm one for the people, okay? I know what's entertaining. Me yelling.
We'll get it out the way now because Daniel also suggested that the next episode of Retro Review we will be watching Detroit versus Montreal. And if you're wondering why we're watching that, we will be specifically looking at Patrick Waugh's last game in Montreal. And I'm doing it because, I won't be yelling, I'll just be crying. But anyway, that's for later on. But here we are today.
Okay.
Bruins, shall we get started?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
And we are off.
Okay,
for some reason, Carl Gunnarsson is on the left wing.
I was about to say, who's climbing up there?
That's not concerning?
He's pulling a Brett Burns. I don't know.
He's pulling a Brett Burns. Awesome.
Do you ever wonder that about defensemen? Like, you see a certain defenseman and you think, I wonder what they would be like at forward? Like P.K. Subban, right? I think he'd be a great forward.
I never
remember Dustin Bufflin used to be forward on Chicago.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Do you want to know who else was on this team?
Who?
Colton Orr.
Oh, he was around, eh?
Wait, was he? Maybe I'm wrong. He's
not
on my... Yes, he was. He was.
Fine.
Yeah, with you know who else was on this team? Leo Komarov.
All-star.
Yeah.
Also, was he an all-star that year? Was that the year? I don't even know.
No, that was the wasn't that Babcock's first year? Like, it was the Matthews.
Maybe.
Matthews.
I'm on the first line.
Yeah, he almost 20 goals, didn't he?
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I don't care how many goals he scored. I'm trying to get past this. I don't even know what to call this. See, it's James Reimer. The literal reason the Leafs made the playoffs.
What was his stats this year? Because this was the lockout shortened year, was it not?
This was the lockout shortened year. He was 19, 8, and 5.
Damn.
A 9.24 save percentage. 2.46 goals against average.
And everyone blamed him for this game, I remember.
Nah, it was all his fault. It has nothing to do with... Oh, I hated that move so much. So much.
Like they had Carl Gunnarsson lining up to play wing to start the period. There's old Randy.
Oh, good one, Randy. Good one.
Randy? So can we just start out by talking about the fact that how in the hell there's is that Jay McClellan?
Jay McClellan.
I think we just talked about it, but how the hell, beside James Reimer, did this team not only make the playoffs, but push this to 7 games. The Bruins should be embarrassed. Like, oh, here's Tyler Seguin, former Bruin. Remember that?
This team was genuinely awful. Like, awful. This was pretty much their team. Kessel, Kadri, JVR, and Tyler Bozak. That's it.
What was?
Yeah. They were there, but Cody Franson was there. He had 29 points in 45 games. Dion was there with 28 points in 48 games. You had Nikolai Kulemin, Mikhail Grabowski.
Ooh.
I want to say that was the first year of his contract.
That was like before they bought him out. I remember he complained of being on the third line.
Oh.
He was on the third line with Kulemin and
hey.
MacArthur. Phil Kessel scored. Yippee-ki-yay.
Well, what could
building on that early lead, guys?
Sorry?
Building on early lead, it's 3-1.
Yeah.
You know, I can say what I want as a Habs fan, but I don't think there are many better visuals in hockey than looking at Maple Leaf Square losing it.
I remember the day that happened. I was 12.
Damn, you were a child.
I was 12, and this is the stuff I was experiencing with my hockey team.
Is this Tim Thomas in net for Toronto? Sorry, for
Tuukka
Rask.
Oh, even better.
You know what?
Even better.
I just noticed because one of the Bruins there was Johnny Boychuk. It's really weird to look at the Bruins, and they lose Boychuk, obviously. They traded Tyler Seguin. And, 2 fantastic players, and they're still in fantastic shape. Talking about a model organization, the Boston. Like, since 2011, have just been so consistent.
They really know how to draft.
I mean...
Imagine,
no. I wouldn't say they're not like Vancouver when it comes to drafting.
I think, man, out of the later picks.
Man, Zach Senyshyn and that. Remember the year they had 3 first-rounders? Jake DeBrusk.
That's one exception, but I mean...
They blew 2 first-rounders. You can't do that.
I mean, like Brandon Carlo, 2nd round. Matt Grzelcyk, 3rd
Where
round.
Where was Charlie McAvoy picked?
He was 14th. 14th overall. That's pretty good for 14th.
They're good at drafting, right? Like I think it would be bad to say that they're not good at drafting. I just don't think that's true.
I'm not saying they're bad. I mean, I'm saying that you got like a guy like Senyshyn. You ended up big save by James there. It's just you ended up passing on Matt Barzal and Brock Besser, I believe,
Thomas Chabot.
And Thomas Chabot, who is the lone bright spot. Ooh, the Bruins are getting frustrated.
I don't know, man. It's always something with first rounders. Every organization.
Oh, the Habs haven't had a good one since Mikael. It's weird. Montreal since 2015 have done a much better job, but since Bergevin took over till 2013, 14, it was a disaster. It sets your
Michael McCarron. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Michael McCarron's one. Jared Tenardi's another one.
Wasn't Jacob De La Rosa first round pick?
I believe he may be a second. He was still top. We'll check. Jacob De La. At least De La Rose turned into some sort of NHLer.
Nikita Sherbak.
Nikita Sherbak.
Sherbak's in the AHL now. That was. I remember Montreal. We were talking about Tampa earlier. They moved up in the 3rd round in a certain draft, and they ended up picking Brett Lernout. Now, the issue is that... by the way, De La Rose was just in the 2nd round, 34th overall. Now, the issue was the player that everyone thought they moved up to take, they actually passed on him, and Tampa Bay got him, and that player was Braden Point.
Oh, my God.
So, just for an example there. Phil Kessel. It was so weird. It's weird to see him...
Phil Kessel. You know who else was on this team, and he's not actually playing in this game?
Mm-hmm. Who?
Former Montreal Canadian backup goalie.
Ben Scrivens?
Ben Scrivens.
Oh yeah, I remember.
He played 20 games for this team.
I remember
7 and 9.
Reimer.
Pushing Reimer, yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
You remember
Okay.
the concussion Reimer got against Montreal?
Yes, I do.
And then they're like, is Ben Scrivens going to push Reimer for the starting position? I remember that.
That was like the first game of the season too, was it not?
Yeah.
That was a very, very not good season.
You know what's very strange about watching this game also?
What?
This is back when Milan Lucic was a force.
Oh, yes.
Just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
If you remember, the season after this, in 2014, Montreal had that 7-game series with the Bruins, and that was the series when Dale Weiss and Lucic had that little spat, and in the handshake line, Lucic said he'd killed Dale Weiss.
Wow. So nice. What a nice guy.
Yeah, and then look at how his career has gone. Lads, I'm realizing we still have 14:46 left in this period, and the Leafs haven't even scored their 4th goal yet. Do we want to get into what our playoff formats would be?
Sure.
Alex, you want to start us off then?
Okay. I'm not sure. So listen, the thing with it's 4-1.
Hey!
It's
Kadri.
4-1. Kadri scored.
Forgot
Everyone's
how early
excited.
this was.
They have no idea what's about to hit them.
The Bruins look so dead.
Oh, you know what?
Oh,
Before
Nathan
we
Horton.
get to Nathan Horton now on Leafs LTIR. Oh, Yager.
I forgot Yager was a Bruin.
Before we get to the playoff format, can I tell you what that day was like for me?
Which day? This day?
Yes.
I feel like, Alex, the only reason I want to say wait for later is because I want, the more that we relive this game, I think we're going to get more juice from you. That's the only reason why I'd say hold up on that.
Okay, fine. So this is really my playoff format. It's weird because I don't necessarily think we're actually going to play hockey again this season because it seems like the NHL is really hell-bent on not wanting to mess up next year, which I think would be a good thing. Like, why mess up next year if you don't have to? But this is what I think would be kind of interesting. So it starts with 12 teams from each conference. So I did it based on points percentage. So Boston, Tampa, Washington, Philly, Pittsburgh, Carolina, the Islanders, the Leafs, the Blue Jackets, the Panthers, the Rangers, and the Canadiens in the East. In the West, St. Louis, the Avalanche, Golden Knights, the Dallas Stars, Oilers, Predators, Canucks, Flames, Jets, Wild, Coyotes, and Blackhawks. And what I did was I put them into 3 separate pots. So what happens is pot 1 are teams 1 to 4. Pot 2, teams 5 to 8. Pot 3, teams 9 to 12. So anyone in pot, like you're going to have we have 4 groups of 3. And each pot is going to be drawn once. So like let's say team 1 and team 2 can't play each other in the group stages. So what you have are 4 groups, and the top 2 teams in each group move on, and you play each other once. It's very much like a soccer tournament, like the Champions League or the World Cup, something like that. And then you seed it based on points percentage. So like depending on who makes it out of the first round, you go like that. Something like that. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Very interesting.
I don't think.
Cool.
Here's the one thing, though. I hear a lot of people talking about if you have certain amount, like if you have less than 8 teams or something like that. I think this was what Brian Burke was talking about. If you have less than 8 teams in the playoffs, there's going to be an asterisk. I think at the end of the day, there's always going to be an asterisk. On this year, in 20 years, when we look back on the year, on the 2019-2020 season, I think there's always going to be an asterisk if they go, even if someone wins the cup.
Even if it's like, say, a St. Louis or a Boston?
it doesn't necessarily have to be an asterisk in a bad way. I think when you say, "Oh, we're going to put an asterisk on it," you still won the Stanley Cup, right? Like everyone talks about the big one in Toronto now is, there's an asterisk, or the people in the United States say this. There's an asterisk on the Raptors championship because the Warriors didn't have Kevin Durant and they didn't have Klay Thompson, but you still won. But you still won the championship. I'm just saying. What I'm saying is here is it's the same thing with the Blackhawks Cup in the year that we're watching, 2012, 2013. There's an asterisk there saying, you know what, this is a shortened lockout shortened year. In 1920, we're going to put an asterisk and say we had a different playoff format. You still won a cup. It's not like they're not going to. If Boston wins the cup, you're telling me they're not going to put a banner up next year?
Oh, did Boston just score? Oh, no, not yet.
Right? You're still winning a cup. It's just an asterisk.
You're saying that we should just focus on the game, not the haters.
Sure. Yeah. Like, if I'm a Bruins fan, which in no way would I ever be a Bruins fan.
I have a soft spot for Patrice Bergeron, I admit.
Oh, everyone.
Okay, maybe a little bit. Just that guy. No one else on the team.
I think there was a tweet that was like, who's a player you root for despite him being on a team you don't like? And the first response was Patrice Bergeron because I don't have to explain him and I don't have to explain why I hate the Bruins, which is...
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, no matter what playoff format they use, even if they can... If they don't, it's 4-2. Let the destruction begin.
Oh, Nathan Horton. Leaf great.
Nathan
Horton.
Sorry. At least never played a game for the team. Okay. Oh, my God. It's happening. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be an asterisk on for me. There's going to be an asterisk on it anyways. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, the Bruins or the Blues won the cup. In that year, it doesn't mean anything. It still means something. You won the cup.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my opinion.
Can I throw a hypothetical your way here for a second, Alex?
Go ahead.
Daniel. All right. Yes or no question. Would you have any sort of if let's say the Hurricanes won the cup this year? If we did, and let's say we went off Alex's format. Yes or no? Would you guys have any sort of but really if the Hurricanes won the cup?
No, but for me, again, like I said before, what I'd say is, no, I don't have any problem with how they won the cup. They still won the cup, but they won it in a different format. That, for me, it doesn't, like, you still won the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
All right. Daniel, what about you? Yes or no?
Honestly, like, I'm just going to go from, like, the optimistic perspective. As long as the game comes back and we could see something, I'm fine.
All right.
Whoever wins.
Then how about this? So, Alex, I believe I talked to you about this, and you said the last team in the East that makes it is Montreal, right?
Yeah.
All right. So let's say instead of Montreal, the end of the season went a bit differently. It was Buffalo. What would your guys' reaction be to this call if you look back on it? And somehow that the last place in the East, Buffalo made it and end up winning the cup. Would you still look at it and be like, yeah, they won it? Or would you be like, yeah, but...
Yes, they won it, but there's an asterisk. There's no matter what, you can, even if you tell me right now that if the Leafs won the cup, I would tell you, oh, they won the cup, but there's going to be an asterisk on it because it's not like the general format that the league uses, and they didn't play the full 82 games.
But they were going to make the playoffs at least. Buffalo had no business. Montreal has no business being there.
No, I understand. I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter the team that makes it. It doesn't matter the team that wins the cup. There's still going to be an asterisk on it.
Daniel, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I don't know. Like, it's so weird. Like looking back on 2013, like I never saw it as like, oh yeah, they won in like a lockout year, or like in like 1999 for the NBA, or 2012. I'm like, I don't look at those teams because like it's a different circumstance. I think the one we have right now is so different that it's like a requirement to have a different format, but I honestly wouldn't mind. I mean, like looking with like I guess from people who really look into it, like Alex and like the both of us, there might be an asterisk there, but I don't know. Like, I just want the game to come back.
Listen, hey, they could still go with the playoff format that they have right now. Right, like the divisional thing 1 to 3. But the issue is that I can imagine, and a lot of people have been talking about it because I've been catching up on Hockey Central and Good Show. They've all been talking about like teams are not going to be happy. Like there are certain teams who've played less games, and they're like, "What are you going to do?" So then at that point you'd go by point percentage. Like, I think potentially, if they want to do it, they can go by point percentage. So you'd still, I mean, it'd be a little messy. I'd have to rework this. I don't think it necessarily, I think it'd still follow the 1 to 8. I think there's certain teams who would be up and down.
All right. Well, moving on, we'll go to Daniel. How about you give us your playoff format now?
I'm going to go for speed. So I'm going to go for a hybrid MLB type of playoff format.
Okay.
So first round are just single game knockouts.
And you got balls, my friend.
And is that like you're saying? You're still following the same format that the NHL currently uses?
Yeah. So what I would do is the first 2 division leaders get a bye into like the next round.
Okay.
And everybody else scrambles to go and try to make it to the next one by single game eliminations.
And how would the math work with teams? Because if you do that, right, like you give a team a bye, would you add would you do the play-in for I think 7, 8, 9, 10, so it'd be 8 versus 9, 7 versus 10?
Yeah, I'd do it like that.
Okay.
And then, whoever comes out of it as the higher seed out of those single game ones are the one that faces the division leader. And you go on from there. Just because like there's so many teams that I'm like, I want, like, again, I said, I want the game to come back, but at the same time too, I think about like the draft, I think about free agency, I think about next season. I just think about an effective way in that could also show that, we're getting through this, but with a lot more speed.
I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I've heard talked about a lot over the last week, and it's about the draft. Now, obviously, the draft is supposed to be in Montreal this year.
Yeah, great.
I thought we were going to go, guys.
Yeah. I got priority because I'm a season ticket holder. So sorry, go ahead, Alex. God damn it.
Can they still do, like, let's say right now, it doesn't seem like, unless they're coming back within the next week, or maybe week and a half, I feel this is very unlikely that they're going to play out the rest of the regular season or any type of any regular season games, just because I don't think like you have to look at you're going to compete with the you're going to compete with the Olympics. You're really going to try that if they don't cancel the Olympics or postpone it? Like, if I'm Gary Bettman and I'm talking to the owners, I don't even think about competing with the Olympics because you're going to lose. And you have to also consider the NBA, the NBA, and whatever other sports leagues that have stopped are going to start again. So what are you going to do then? You're going to compete with you're going to compete with the NBA playoffs?
Well, what do they do then? Because they have to do something.
Yeah, but go straight to the playoffs. What I'm saying is go straight to the playoffs.
Okay.
Don't do the regular season. Don't elongate the season longer than you have to. That's what I'm saying.
Do that. I don't think there's even a question of them going back to the regular season at this point. Even if it is next week, I think there's just been too much gone. I mean,
right. Oh. Okay, but my question is, can they do, let's say they don't, we're saying there are no more regular season games. Can they still do the draft When's the draft supposed to be? June what?
Should be the end of June. I'll double check the date now. One second.
Okay, the end of June. Let's say we're playing hockey in June. Hopefully.
They can do the draft still.
They can still do the draft as long as they keep the standings the way they are.
26th and 27th. Friday.
Like this, let's say, okay, Detroit is last, whatever the standings are, so I don't have it open in front of me. They do the draft lottery. They do the draft. Can they still do the draft on those 2 days?
I have a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not really crazy. Sorry, I keep using baseball as a model.
Hey,
why not do like in between like the junior season and when the NHL season starts, you do the draft like in the fall instead. And you do like how you did in 2013. Rounds 1 to 7 is in 1 day.
Okay.
Just like to get it done with, and the fact that you don't let it interrupt like this year's standings.
You're really trying to ruin my draft day experience, Daniel.
Pardon?
You're really ruining my draft day experience right now.
I know, but it's what you got to do for.
But okay, so when would you put? Let's say, like the thing is, we're just making all these hypotheticals, and so when let's say this regular season next year starts October 4th, whatever.
Yeah.
When would the draft be then?
I'd pick it in September. Like mid-September, like it's only
before training camp.
That's not going to work because
it has to be before training camp.
Because there's more than just the NHL there. You got to figure out the guys that are for sure either going, back to Russia, back to Sweden. I think that's a bit too much to have a camp in there. I think if we're playing hockey in June, and even if we're then in a position to start this season again in October like normal, I still think there's some room, even if you have to push free agency and all the deadlines and that back forth. I think you can still have the draft in the summer. I mean, especially if you do it in 1 day. I just think the logistics of it don't make sense to me if you push it all the way back. It's chaos, which I love, Daniel, but I think you can still somehow get it done in the summer.
Okay, how about this hypothetical?
I think it can.
2005 lockout. You do the draft, but in a hotel.
Okay.
And rounds 1 to 7 on 1 day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this they actually cancel the draft. Sorry, let me rephrase that. They cancel the draft in person.
Okay, yeah. So there's another example. This also, I'm going to use it again. They also use this in baseball. Not every player who gets drafted has to be there. You just have a small group of people, and then they announce the picks.
Well, yeah. Like I like that better.
You take away, like, I know it sucks, Adam, of the people going up, like the GMs, the players, saying thank you to the great city of Montreal here and there.
It's not that I think about in that situation. I just feel bad for the player because it's a special moment, right? Even when the lockout, at least you had some, like Carey Price got to be called up and all that and put the jersey on. I think go ahead.
I think they'll be more than happy when there's a pandemic going on in the world to understand that, sorry, we can't necessarily do the draft right now. We can't have more than 100 people in a building. Mm-hmm. Like that's the case right now. And to be honest, based on the way people are acting right now, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case in June when the draft is supposed to happen.
So we're just gonna have like 3 hours of Gary
Bettman
announcing the picks.
Sorry, yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying. I guess we'll just have one draft of Gary Bettman for 3 hours, just announcing names.
God.
Do you want to draft forever? You really want to do that? Sorry,
just to let it's there's a minute and 40 left in the third period, and it is 4-2.
There's no way they could get.
Oh my god! Oh, Chara.
Quick question, Daniel. How many teams made it in your bracket again? Sorry.
So.
Oh my god.
I had 2 hypotheticals, so I would go with the 24. Okay, 4-3. It's okay.
Milan Lucic scored. It's not okay.
Go with the 24, but based on like circumstances, I would still stay with the 8 per conference, depending on. So like I have 2 different models with that. Just again for speed and like looking for what's most efficient in this hypothetical bracket.
All right, I like it. So I'm just making some adjustments to my playoff format.
Oh, okay. I just want to say Milan Lucic scored and Dion Phaneuf was doing nothing. I just want to say. I thought it might.
Off the chart shot, rebound, Luch. Yeah, Dion was
doing nothing. Nothing out of that.
Could have been a bit tougher on the puck there. There is the perfect man Patrice Bergeron. He has an 8.
Everyone needs to sit down. Every Leaf fan in that building needs to sit down.
So who's on the ice for the Leafs? Matt Fratton, Jay McLennan, Joffrey Luke. I see. I think that's Dion to the right there.
Tuukka's about to run.
Yeah, Tuukka's ready to sprint. He's getting ready to run back to Finland at the end of this play.
I don't even know who that is.
This old
unbelievable.
The stands. Jesus, these people look happy.
It's because they know what's about to happen.
How about is it a big deal? Like, you know, Daniel, how
is
big
that Peter? Was that Peter Chiarelli?
Yes.
Yeah, he was the GM then, right?
Yeah, he was the GM at the time. This is before he traded Sagan for Louis Eriksson.
Awesome.
Did he trade Dougie Hamilton as well? Because he's on this team.
Yeah, he traded him for draft pick. Oh no, that was already when Don Sweeney came in. That's when they couldn't negotiate a contract, so they traded him to Calgary.
The 2 players that the Bruins used with the Leaf picks?
Yeah. And then Jared Knight became...
I love this
At least won that one. No.
I love Brian Burke. Can I just say that, you know?
Do you ever hear the story of how he told...
Oh my God. Oh my God. Why do I keep doing this? Why do I do this to myself?
When you originally saw this, what was the emotion? What went through Alex's mind when this goal went through and you were 12 years old?
I was speechless. I was speechless.
Were there tears? Was there rage?
No, I don't think there were tears. I was pretty upset.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I've asked Alex this before. Daniel, have you ever cried at a sporting event?
Oh, yes.
When?
Okay, so this was when I was really little. Mm-hmm. When the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim lost in the 2003 finals to the New Jersey Devils.
Of course it was the Ducks.
I know.
Jean-Sébastien Giguère is my favorite player. And also, that was the last year. I remember that. In the offseason, Paul Kariya said, I promise the city of Anaheim a Stanley Cup. Then, like, a few weeks later, he couldn't negotiate a contract and he went to Colorado. So I remember that offseason made me sad.
Oh, right? Like, you're not a Leafs fan. You're a Ducks
Do you
fan.
mean Leafs legend, J.S. Giguère? Are you talking about Leafs legend?
Yes,
J.S. Giguère.
Let's see. What else made me sad? I not really cried, but do you remember when LeBron scored that buzzer beater over OG?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Say that again, sorry?
When LeBron scored like a buzzer beater over OG Anunoby, and that was, I remember that. Like after that, the Raptors got swept, but it's okay. They got Kawhi Leonard in that offseason.
Oh my God, I remember that. I was speechless. I'm like, no way he's gonna pull this off, and he pulled it off. Oh my God. Oh look, it's Phil Kessel.
By the way, still waiting for Blake because they're dumping all their. Okay,
can I just skip through this?
Sure. Jay.
Oh, hey, look, clueless.
You know, he started in the AHL that year. I remember that. He was 22, and he didn't make the final. He didn't make the final roster, and then he played in the AHL.
Your favorite. It's Randy.
He came from Anaheim, right? Did Jay Gart?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, for Francois Boschman.
Oh,
That's
wow.
A strange deal. All right.
I kind of miss Francois.
Yeah, he's a pretty sturdy defenseman.
Don't you miss Francois Boschman a little bit? No.
He was a guy that he would have been great for this current team. It's just they didn't know what to do with him when they actually had him.
Was he right-handed? I don't even remember.
It's just he was like consistent two-way guy, high character guy, and is someone that kind of did everything for them. But he's like an added piece to a better team. He's not a foundational guy.
Is he better than Cody Ceci?
Yes.
Then you know what? Perfect. Play him on his offhand if we have to. I don't care.
We've got some time before the OT goal inevitably happens. So can I read you guys my playoff format?
Sure.
Yes.
All right. I'll just show you the camera what mine kind of looks like here. All right. First of all, my playoffs is 5 rounds.
Oh, Lord.
Wow.
Every team except for Detroit makes it in my bracket. That's right. I'm going to have a 30-team playoffs.
Brian Burke would not be happy with you.
I don't care. I want chaos. The reason I don't have Detroit is because you were the only team that were bad enough to be mathematically eliminated. But here's what I'm going to do to make up for it. 1 year only, Detroit will have a 50% chance of getting the first overall pick. Every other team will have an equal percentage chance.
Oh, come on.
We're going 05, baby. We're going 05. So,
Did you know Brian Burke almost drafted Sidney Crosby? He was one lottery ball away.
He tells him, you know, Austin Matthews was almost a Hab. Fun fact.
Who?
Matthews was almost a Hab.
Sure he was.
Okay, anyway, moving on. So, yes, 30 different teams, of course. Detroit have 50. Everything's going to be on a neutral site. I don't care about the home games and all that. I really don't. This needs to be done, and this will be done marathon style, all right? That's how I'm going to do this.
So they play. How often does each team play?
This will be every other day.
Okay, perfect.
No in between breaks, unless a team you are waiting for is still playing a series. All right.
There's series.
There are series here. So here's how it's going to go. Of course, 30 teams.
Yeah.
Going from 1 downwards, you will get to choose your poison, aka you will get to choose who you play.
Okay, there, Jeff Merrick.
All right, this is how we're going to play for that as well. And after every single round, we will reseed because, of course, we need to get it a bit more figured out. So then once we go to the second round onwards, that will be reseeded by the standings overall, not just by division. I don't care about any of that. We're going to go overall by the standings going onwards starting in round number 2. Now, here's how it's going to work. Rounds 1 and 2 are going to be best of 3. Yes. Round 3 and 4 are going to be best of 5. And the Stanley Cup final will be a best of 7. That is my playoff format.
How long? I'm just curious if you've done the math on this. How long is that going to take?
I don't think it's going to... Hold on, let's just do some quick math here. Okay, so the Cup final is going to be 7 games, obviously.
So
now, of
that's
course,
14 days.
There's always a very strange thing where if you've ever paid attention to the broadcasting of the Stanley Cup final, dear listeners, or at the playoffs, every series normally has that extra weird day for, I don't know why, but so that's going to happen, of course. So there's the 7-day...
this is a couple months at least.
Well, there's the 14-day minimum of the finals. Of course, the middle 2 rounds are going to be a minimum of 10 days because they are best of 5 games. And then it's a maximum of 6 weeks for the first, of 6 days for the, 6 days because it's best of the other 2. So
2 months.
So there is, it's basically 2 months, which is around the same time as the normal ones because, the playoffs start early April, and for me, they would end about early June. So it's about the same length. But each series, of course, is a bit shorter, so there's more rounds, but because of the games played, the best of format, I have mine around the same length. And it's a bit more jump ball in mine. It's maximum chaos.
Right. Just because as Daniel was talking, I realized that depending on when they actually start, the NHL is going to look for speed because they're going to want to try to get obviously as much hockey in in as short period as possible, so that free agency and the draft and etc. those things aren't going to get as affected. So I realized mine isn't it really probably going to take 2 months. I don't know. I haven't done the math on it, but probably it needs to be shorter than the regular one. I'd imagine that's what they're looking for.
Then I think you can simply do. I'm going to look at mine. I think no matter what, I think you have to keep the cup final 7 games. I just think I think you need some principle there. So if I'm just going to use mine as an example, then I think you make every other round just best of 3.
Best of 3?
Right.
Just in any sort of way you want to do it. If you want to do single elimination real tournaments, I would do it. I just think the cup final itself has to say 7. Everything else, I think shorten. But so yeah, those are our playoff formats.
I think just hypothetically for 24 teams, for my model, I just wanted to weed out as many guys as possible quickly, just to get to the later rounds with just I guess the more tension based ones, the more important ones. But yeah, I agree. The 3 games.
Yeah, because I'm looking at mine, and I'm starting to realize that maybe it's too much. But the reason I made the groups is because I'd imagine teams are going to complain, especially the teams from really 6 to 12 and in at least the East are really interchangeable in some sorts. At least 6 to 9 are interchangeable. So I'd imagine they're going to complain. So okay, let me prove that I can make the playoffs. Give me some type of. It's really just replacing the rest of the regular season games, but putting it into 3. I don't know, but it's a little bit long. I can imagine. They're looking for something shorter.
Is there any sort of way you guys think they just do a big single elimination the whole way through? Just one real tournament style thing?
I'd love to see it, but I don't think they're going to do that.
I feel so stressed.
Yeah.
The later rounds.
If that would be the case.
You miss one goal when you go, I don't know, go to your kitchen to get something, and you're like, oh, that was a Stanley Cup winning goal. I didn't know that.
No, yeah, I'd love to see that. That'd be maximum chaos right there.
But I don't think, and you're done.
If Seattle was in the league, I think the math would work out a lot better because that gives you 16 teams in each conference, which would be easier math-wise, and I think that'd be very interesting. It'd be very interesting to see, but I don't think they're going to do it. Just like I don't think they're ever going to let teams choose their opponents.
I never liked that.
You're a baseball guy. Are the MLB doing that yet? Because I thought I had read something saying they were changing playoff stuff.
Yeah, it was a consideration they're thinking of, but that's kind of just taking the back seat right now because they can't even start their season. Yeah,
just because from a journalistic point of view, right? It's fantastic. Choose your own opinion.
So it's a weird concept to me.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't think it's gonna work. I also just don't think it's ever gonna happen.
Hold on. You don't like it, you say?
Yeah, because teams are what are the chances that a team's gonna choose someone that's not the seed they should have chose? Because if they lose, they look very stupid.
I'm just saying, could you imagine the drama of, oh my God, the Bruins have said, hey, we're going to take on Toronto, and they undermine them, and then all of a sudden they're saying, oh, you know what, we're going to they choose the Leafs, undermining them, the Leafs come back, they win. Or let's say the Capitals do, and they're like, I want revenge on the Hurricanes and all that, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean, right?
I know, but that's never going to happen, because if you picked the Leafs and you could have picked Columbus, let's say, this year, I don't know, I just threw a team out there, and you lose to Toronto, if I'm the owner of the Bruins, I go to whoever the hell the GM is and I say, what the hell was that? It's not going to it's very unlikely that it's going to happen,
Yeah, but Alex, this is a hypothetical. We're doing.
Yeah, but you're instituting. You want to institute something that a team is rarely going to choose out of order.
Man, yeah. All right.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I find it highly unlikely that a team is going to choose out of order because if they lose, it looks really bad on them.
Makes for great articles, though, for us guys.
Oh, it makes for great articles, but if I'm a general manager of a National Hockey League team, I'm not going to do something like that and potentially put my job in jeopardy.
Hey, the same thing can still happen if they say turn around and say they choose a team that squeaks in. That other team's going to feel offended. They're going to play even harder, right? I think if you give Tampa Bay the choice of any team last year, they'd still go with Columbus, and then look what happened.
But we had that last year. They would have, and they chose Columbus. In a normal format, they would have had to play Columbus anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if they're Tampa Bay and Tampa Bay says, I want to play Toronto, but Toronto finished third in the division and then Toronto beat them, that looks a lot worse because you could have picked Columbus. You're not going to pick out of order. If I'm a general manager, it doesn't make sense to me to pick out of order because if I lose, I look extremely stupid to my owner or whoever I'm answering to.
I think it would be a jump. Listen, let's be honest here, people. Some GMs make moves, and this is a fact that's been said by people like Jeff Merrick and Elliot Friedman. Some GMs just make moves to make it in there in the first place. If winning was 100% on the minds of every owner, which we know it is not for a fact, and there's the Bruins goal.
The collapse is complete.
He's a nice person.
I know. This signaled the end of the Matt Fradden, Ben Scrivens era when they were traded for Jonathan Bernier in the offseason.
What? Okay, I was going to say, what happened to this team next? Because, again, as I've said multiple times, I started watching in 2014, so anything else... so I didn't really know the league till 2015. So what happened to Toronto following this?
So Miguel Grabowski gets bought out. They're like, James Reimer was the problem. We needed to make a tandem. Let's get Jonathan Bernier. So they traded Scrivens, Matt Fradden, and a second-round pick. They got back, actually, to the 2015 draft. That ended up being Travis Dermott.
Okay.
Was it that their own pick?
Yeah, it was their own pick. They reacquired it. Remember, like, that whole crazy trade they did with, like, the Nashville's first-round pick that became Travis Konecny. They, traded down, became Gabriel Carlson. Then those picks became Travis Dermott, Jeremy Bracco, and I think it was, like, another third or fourth. Well, it's one of those crazy trade downs they did when they had, like, 3 GMs in a way at the time.
Unbelievable.
I remember the next year, everyone was so hopeful for them that they kind of rehashed the same lineup, and they're like, okay, this isn't working.
Yeah, because they weren't supposed to make the playoffs.
I know. And then they got William Nylander.
Thank God they got William Nylander. I'm looking at this team from the next year. I'm pretty sure they got worse.
Yeah, they got pretty bad.
The only new big, not even big name, they got Mason Raymond.
Mayray.
Yeah, we kept getting it.
Paul Ranger.
Oh, that was a good. If you guys ever have a chance, read his story. It's really great.
It was a good story. It was a good story. But I'm never gonna get over one thing that he did. That to this day pisses me off. I think they were playing Buffalo. It was overtime. He took a penalty, and he comes out of the box and goes to the bench. Well, we're playing defense. We also, that season, I believe that was the off season where the Blackhawks won the cup, needed to get rid of someone, and traded Dave Bolin to the Leafs.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
What was it? 2 second-round picks?
Let's see what this trade was. Three draft picks. So a second in 2013, a fourth in 2013, and a fourth in 2014.
Close enough. I was close enough.
They didn't really amount to much, to be honest, any of them.
Just like this team. Just like this team. Was this the year Randy Carlyle got fired, or was that next year? Nope, that was next year. That was 2014-15. Wow. I went to 2014-15, and they just got murdered half the time.
When Peter Horacek
murdered.
I remember.
Wow, this team was bad. I don't ever want to revisit this team. I don't ever want to look at this team again.
Well, as this is the retro review, final thoughts.
Oh, can I tell you what that day was like for me? I guess because I never explained it. Okay, so I was 12. So I was in grade 6, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was going to be 13 because it was 2013. I was going to be 13 in October. It was a Monday night. I remember it was a Monday night. And I had swimming lessons. Because
You're setting the scene here.
I'm setting the scene.
And just let it all.
And I did not want to go because the Leafs were playing at 7 o'clock. I think my swimming lesson was at 7 o'clock. I go, it's unbelievable they didn't cancel swimming. You know, it's a very important game. Naive little man thinking everyone cares about the Leafs. And I did not want to look at the score, except when I got changed, finished swimming. I think it was like 8 o'clock. I don't remember what time it was. And I saw a TV, and of course they had the game on, and it was 2-1. I'm like, oh, it's 2-1. And then by the time I got home, I think it was the third period. And it was, don't even know. Like my emotion went so up and so down. I don't even know how to explain it to you. Like, I remember overtime. I remember when the Bruins scored to make it 5-4. I was watching with my parents. My parents don't really watch hockey, like sports in general. My dad yelled and said an explicit word that I will not repeat because I don't want to have to bleep myself on the show. I don't want to bleep myself on the show. He swore. I've never heard him yell about a hockey game before, and that was the first time. Like, that's how bad it was. Like, no one in my house watches hockey except me, and someone just swore and yelled about this game, and I was 12.
Because Daniel, you're a bit older than the two of us, a bit more composed. What was it like for you, Mr. Ducks fan, even though you say you're a Leafs fan?
Oh, going into 2014, 2015?
No, sorry. The initial reaction of 2013. 2013. Sorry, the game.
Oh, okay, yeah, that was a roller coaster of emotions. I remember I was watching with my family at home, and we're all fans. We're all celebrating. We're like, "There's no way they could come back from 4-1. Like, you got this."
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, and it was like kind of like there was no frustration or anything. It was weird. It was quiet. Like, it was 4-4. No one was talking to each other. Like, we reacted every time Ryber made a save, but that was about it because the Leafs were not getting any chances. And then when it kind of happened, I know when it kind of happened, you're like, of course this would happen. Like, this is such a Leaf thing to happen.
I was in awe. Like, I'm like, excuse me? I remember I was in grade 7. I was going on a field trip the next day. I don't even remember where we were going. I just showed up to school. I'm like, I don't want to be here.
Were other people like that?
I was to be honest, I only knew one other Leaf fan.
Alex was ahead of his time.
To be honest, I didn't know many hockey fans growing up, to be honest.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, the only person who was a hockey fan, the only reason I got into hockey was my grandfather.
So it's his fault.
I remember,
sure.
I was young. I remember when I was a kid, and people, when I said that, they gave up too much for Phil Kessel in that trade, the Leafs, the guy's like, "Oh, you're crazy. You don't know hockey."
No, I do know hockey. You're just an idiot.
I remember that. And then when the Leafs traded Anton Strawman, I'm like, "Oh, that was a bad trade." They're like, "Yeah, he's a nobody." And I was like, "Okay."
I remember. What year did they trade for Phil Kessel?
That was 2008, 2009.
I remember hearing about that, and I was like 8 or 9 years old. I'm like, oh, what the hell does this even mean? 2 first-round picks. How bad could that get? Apparently, it could be really bad. It can turn out to be Dougie Hamilton and Tyler frickin' Seguin.
I remember the argument at the time was people were like, "Oh, the Leafs just lost Matt Sundin. They need somebody to give them an identity again." And I'm like, was Phil Kessel really the guy for that?
Yeah, the guy who you can't build around.
I think Brian.
Yeah, who doesn't media.
Hasn't Brian Burke said before that Phil Kessel was more of he was a draw for them? That's what his real purpose was, to help sell tickets, sell jerseys, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because looking back at 2008, who did the Leafs have on that roster?
James Reimer.
You're telling me that they really needed someone to set so they could sell. This was the team that for the years that they were garbage. How long have they been garbage?
Their leading scorer in 2008, 2009 was Jason Blake with 63 points.
Oh my God, Jason Blake.
He was 35.
Oh my God. How is it that you needed to bring in Phil Kessel to sell what? To sell what? You were literally selling out every single game. I don't know how you were selling out every single game, but you were literally selling out every single game. And you said, you know what? Let's trade 2 first-round picks for Phil Kessel. What the hell could possibly happen? Apparently a lot.
Well,
crazy looking back at this team, man. Leading scorers: Jason Blake, Alexei Ponikarovsky, Matt Stajan.
Who the hell is I've never heard of Jason.
You've never heard of Jason Blake? He played in Anaheim, did he not?
Yeah, he was traded with Vesatoskala for Shiger.
Jesus Christ! How do you screen share? Because I'm looking at a picture of this guy, and my dear God, he looks like he's been through a lot.
Oh my God, Vesatoskala.
Oh, okay.
He was a solid guy on the Islander.
40-goal guy on the island? What?
Yeah, he was on the U.S. team for the Olympics. I remember 2006.
Yeah, Master too.
Yeah. Why did he get the Masterton? I can't remember. It's not coming to me.
He had leukemia, I believe.
That was it, yeah.
Okay, good for him then.
And he continued to play for the Leafs. Wow.
All right. Well, I think then, guys, I don't know about you, but I think we can call it there today.
I think so. I might get more upset if we keep talking.
Yeah. Well, listeners, on the docket for the next 2 episodes, of course, this Wednesday will be the next episode of Bizarre Adventures. We will be talking about Moneyball.
Yes. Finally, baseball on the show.
Which I'm assuming, Daniel, I'm gonna guess that you're gonna be the one taking the lead on that movie because you're a baseball guy.
Okay.
And
it's
even
a
though
fantastic movie.
Yeah. So, Daniel, how about you play host next episode then?
Okay. We'll try to get Brad Pitt on the show, but no guarantees, guys.
And then, of course, next week's retro episode will be Patrick Waugh's last game as a Montreal Canadian.
Awesome.
AKA the day the dynasty died. But yes, we will see you all later if you enjoyed this episode. Let's say you're on YouTube, like the the video, give it a subscribe if you're on iTunes, Spotify. Leave a rating, follow the show, leave a review. Tell us what you'd maybe like us to watch when it comes to Bizarre Adventures, retro reviews. We'd love to know because we'll watch it because we don't really have any ideas after next week.